Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Newell with System Surveyor. I'd like to welcome you to today's Spotlight webinar featuring Ganz Security. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping items. Please note that we have had a great response to today's webinar, so our participants are placed on mute. But at any time during the session, feel free to use the Q&A icon in the Zoom webinar interface, and we'll address all questions at the end of the session. Also, please note we are recording this webinar, so look for a goodie bag email from me, usually by the end of the day, with the recording and a couple of resources from the webinar. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our panelists today. We're joined by Brian Denmead, the field application engineer with Ganz Security, who has a long tenure in the security industry and is on his 14th year at CBC America and Ganz. We're also joined by Jamel Quim with System Surveyor. He is our customer support specialist who works closely with our users to ensure that they successfully onboard and use the tool effectively. Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Well, I'll hand it off to you guys to get started.
Excellent. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. So today we're just going to meet Ganz Security, a global leader in designing, developing, and manufacturing world-class intelligent security solutions. We're going to talk about why a collaborative system design is so important. We'll do some overview and best practices for co-designing. We'll talk about how to get Ganz's free element profiles, and we'll also have a short Q&A session at the end. So be sure to stay tuned. I'll pass it off to Brian.
All right, thank you. So I want to welcome everybody. We're going to briefly touch upon the Ganz product offerings. Long list short, we offer video management software, cameras in the IP and the analog areas. Most of our products have the option or have built in already intelligent as well as AI functionality. And we also work with we also offer through partnerships, recording through IoT devices and integrations to various degrees depending on the types of IoT devices. Next slide, please. We'll talk about Quattro first. That's our video management platform. Basically, it is a modern VMS in terms of offering an intuitive and user-friendly interface, which basically means a low learning curve versus having to go to school and get a degree in interfaces. There's two editions that are offered, a single server standalone, which is our Quattro Premier, and a multi-server for multi-deployment in not just one location, but remote locations as well as many locations in a campus, for argument's sake, and that's our global enterprise system. Some of the main functions or modules that can be added to the system are face recognition, license plate recognition, and analytics, from standard analytics such as zones and lines to AI assisted analytics where the AI is saying it's a person or it's a car, to give you that more granular definition of what is causing the event. The events and actions configurator for powerful notifications can start off with either very simple notifications or very complex scenarios, so it can cover many types of deployment requirements. It offers real-time geolocation through our maps and our combination with our mobile app. So our mobile app can give you the functionality of a body cam in terms of being able to stream back to the Quattro platform. And that information can include the GPS information coming from that device. And that's great for many types of scenarios. We work hand in hand with a lot of the existing access control systems out there, either through direct integration or through API level or RESTful API level communications, or straight through relay communications. There's currently no SSA agreements required for the software. Essentially, you buy the software, you get 2 years out of the box. At the end of the 2 years, you still have a working platform. There's no need to turn around and renew that platform. There's various other options for renewal if one requires it, but not necessarily needed. Next slide, please. Some of our camera offerings. So we have our Pixel Pro cameras, which range from 1080p all the way up to 4K or 8 megapixel. Various formats from dome, mini dome, bullet, mini bullet, pinhole covert style cameras that will meet various requirements. These cameras come with AI assisted motion detection. So basically not just standard motion detection, but also being able to say if it was a person or a non-person that actually activated the motion, again, helping reduce false positives. We have our GenStar line, which is a more cost-effective solution, also ranging from anywhere from a 1080p up to 4K options. One of our great cameras in that line is the fisheye 12 megapixel camera, as well as many other options that will come along with that. Next slide, please. We also have our GXI line of Pixel Pro cameras. GXI line is a little different from the Pixel Pro line. It has a more robust analytics functionality as well as deep learning functionality. Although deep learning and AI are kind of an interchangeable function term. So basically, you would have your standard zones and lines. You can set up loitering. You can set up tailgate detection. You can set up speed and direction zones. And then you can add AI on top of that, again, adding that extra layer of being able to determine what caused the event to begin with: person, vehicle, group of people, group of vehicles, and things along those lines. Again, greatly reducing your false positives. Next slide, please. Then we have our recorders. So we have our Pixel Master, which has built-in PoE and is meant for the 4, 8, and 16 IP camera channel deployments. So essentially, without having to have an additional PoE switch, if it's built into the box, it simplifies the deployment and design of that system in conjunction with the cameras that you may utilize. Then we have our DigiMaster, which is a multi-format recorder, or a hybrid, if you want to call it a hybrid. That means that it can do standard analog, AHD analog, which is the higher definition analog, TVI, which is also higher definition analog, as well as IP cameras. Again, the options are from a 4, 8, or 16 channel offering. And again, it could be one type of camera, or it can be a mix of cameras, providing a great migration path for existing infrastructure that is currently on analog, but wants to migrate to higher definition analog and eventually to the IP side. Next slide, please. And then we have our Xenos servers. So our Xenos servers are the Intel CPU platform that our Quattro video management software will run on. We offer the servers. You don't necessarily have to use our servers with Quattro. If you have existing servers, that's great. And you don't necessarily have to use Quattro with our servers. So if you have an existing VMS but need new server hardware, we have your configuration needs from both of those possible situations. And our servers range from a desktop unit to a 1U, 2U, or 4U, and run from non-RAID systems up to RAID-based systems, and from Intel i3 CPUs all the way up to Intel Xeon processors. So they're very robust systems. We say up to 200 terabyte as average, but our 4U systems with multi-bay functionality can go a lot higher than that. So depending on what your configuration needs, we could probably meet that as well. Next slide, please.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that valuable information, Ryan. That was great.
No, thank you.
So let's talking about System Surveyor and being able to integrate with Ganz, just allows for that one single place to do all of your security work, such as designing your platform, designing the system, and then being able to immediately put in that information from those manufacturers, vendors, and sharing with your client. These are some of the benefits that you'll see. Sales collaboration enablement, which makes it easier for your sales to just be able to collaborate with each other, and then double sales productivity, getting these surveys done a lot quicker, faster, cleaner, as well as increase profit margins and reduce implementation times. You're also able to visualize and co-design with your customer, which leads to just winning more jobs. When your customers can see and understand what you're building, what you're doing, just makes it easier to secure that job. And so now we're going to hop into actual System Surveyor and do a sort of quick live demo with Laura here, who is also going to play the customer. I'll be the system integrator, And of course, Brian will be our manufacturer. So hopping into the situation here, Laura, I know that you guys have a system in place. You already used Ganz, which is great. I've got Brian from Ganz on the line in here with us so that we can just help solve some of these issues that you told me about. I know that you said you've had some issues with some of break-ins, scares in that reception area, and I do see you guys do have a door there that has an electronic reader as well as electronic lock. But just tell us a little bit more about that so that Brian can understand.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for taking the time with me today. We are using your GenStar fisheye in the conference room, and we wanted to get your input. We're having some issues with break-ins in the reception area, and we need to have some sort of, what's the best and most recommended for that reception area?
Well, there's multiple options for a solution for this, and it really depends on logistics. So I'll go over the easiest configuration options and then reference the more intricate ones, if you will. And again, every deployment's different, so you have simple all the way up to complex. Simplicity in and of itself, if you have a card reader that's reliably plugged into either a small scale access control system or just an alarm panel. If we use one of our recorders like the DigiMaster or the PixelMaster, which both can do IP, and we have an IP camera in the fisheye, you can tie through relays from the alarm panel into that recorder for additional notifications and additional recording functionality. That gives you the simplest setup, because at that point, it's just the camera plugging directly into the recorder and a wire going from the relay on that recorder to your alarm panel.
Oh, great.
Alarm panel trips. You can have bookmark on the video. You can have snapshots that are emailed out from the DVR, and you can tie that even into other types of systems. So simplest setup, you're good to go.
Perfect.
If you want to go,
which wall would that? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
I was gonna say, just to touch on a more complex system without getting into it. A more complex, and it just means that you have much more greater number of levels of security for your establishment. It's really what I mean by complexity. You could go with a video management software that's handshaking with a more robust access control system for securing that environment. And that's a whole other conversation on design requirements, but you could go as simple as a DVR for your recorder or as complex as a video management software platform.
Okay.
And if we wanted to add a camera in there just so that they can keep a better eye on this sort of reception area, I know that the fixed camera is going to be probably our best bet here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag one over. I feel like this back wall would be the best place, so that way we can sort of see this whole area here.
And that camera will allow you to accomplish a couple of things. So the reception area itself is probably not a very large area. So generally, you may not be looking for the most detail-oriented level. You just need to get a general visual that it's a person who's coming to the place. You get a good recognition of their face. So a 1080p camera may be fine because it's small area. Larger areas, we might recommend a higher megapixel, like a 3, 4, 5 megapixel, or maybe something higher. It really depends on the amount of detail level that's required from the security side. But the very easiest level, very simplest level, a 1080p camera, could be a dome, could be a bullet. On that back wall, you can see people coming in through the front door. If you include face recognition on that camera channel, then you can turn around and tie that into like an HR system or even your access control system for an additional level or layer of authentication.
Okay, awesome. So going into the attributes here, so we can select one of those cameras just on this element profile. Would you think this 2.1 mini bullet would be the best that would be adequate for this situation?
Depending on how the ceiling's designed, that might be an excellent option. A dome may also be an excellent option. If you have a ceiling where you're looking for a very clean aesthetic, a bullet sticks out a little bit, but if you've got visual obstructions, if you will, along the ceiling wall line, then you can always hide like a mini bullet in that obstruction, for argument's sake. So it depends on your environment. For a clean reception room where there's really not too much visual like artwork or plants or anything on the wall and reaching up to the ceiling, a dome might actually be a much better choice. Just keeping a clean aesthetic from that aspect.
Let's do the dome then. And also, Jamil, we took a picture of the reception area the other day when we were on site,
Yes,
right? So
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Let me pull those up so that way you can see. So let me open that one here. And then we have another one as well, just a little bit better. So that way we can see. So this is sort of what we're working with here.
And where would you think, Brian, we should lay it out here up at the dome at the top there then, right?
Yep, definitely go with the dome because you have very clean lines in that reception area. Again, we can see visually it's not a very large reception area, so 1080p covers a general visual requirement that still gives you enough information to identify someone, but maybe not be able to read a nameplate, for argument's sake, on their jacket or name tag.
Great. Well, let's pull in that 1080p then, and
go right for if you go with the mini dome, it's a very small footprint compared to a regular dome. So go down to that one right there. Yep.
Great.
Perfect.
And then it fills in all the information.
Pre-filled all of the information in for us here, and it also brought in some URL links that go straight to Ganz's website here, so that way we can see exactly what we're getting. And some specifications here as well. Perfect.
Yep. And if you scroll back up to the image of the camera for just a moment, you can see it's a small footprint compared to the way a bullet might fit over on that system. And you could actually mount that on the wall as opposed to the ceiling, still up high, but on the wall, it'll blend in a little bit more with the aesthetics.
Okay, yeah, I think that conquers that need there. And of course, we can talk about the installation and functional matters of these as well.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think that we should put another camera in here, maybe to cover this other area here, just in case? That way they're just double secure. I mean, you can never be too secure, really.
So again, options. There's always options, and it really depends on deployment. But we could do one of two things here. We could put another camera on the back wall to the left, looking basically down that space into the reception area. Yep. I might go with a higher resolution, maybe a 4 or a 5 megapixel camera at that point. Only because you really don't want to be able, if you have to zoom in, it gives you double coverage on top of the 1080p that's covering the area by the reception door. Another possibility for the same area is you could go with a fisheye camera directly in the center to really kind of cover that whole area. Again, it's logistics, it's deployment. One may work better than the other, but there are always discussion points to find out which is the best way to go.
Okay, absolutely. And for that area, what would you say is our ideal?
If we could go with the ZN8 D4, or actually, if, you know what, go with the 5 megapixel instead. So one right above that. Yep. Perfect. This way you have the higher resolution, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility because the area where that camera is being placed has a lot of open space.
Okay.
So it provides the ability to zoom in on that space to give you kind of overlapping coverage.
Excellent. That's perfect. And I know that we want to make sure we save some time for our Q&A here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hop back in. Thank you both for participating in our little acting session there. I'm going to hop back into the PowerPoint here. I feel like that was great. We really learned a lot there. So I'm going to hop back into the PowerPoint here. Just scooting a little forward here. So I have a few things I want to be sure that we can show. And so just really quickly before we hop into the Q&A session, I want to talk about where to find Ganz's available catalog. And so you can do that here, going to, of course, our partners under available manufacturers. And right here, right on System Surveyor, once again, partners, available manufacturer catalogs, they'll appear right here. Once you select it, it'll take you straight to the catalog that they've provided, and you can just import that straight into your System Surveyor. And then, of course, another thing that I would love to point out is going to be the Ganz Direct landing page, which if you click it, it's going to take you straight to here. And of course, all of Ganz's, anyone that signs up through Ganz's site here, you will receive a 10% off discount. So that's always a great thing. We want to make sure that we're providing value to our partners and their clients. And then of
Great.
course,
Well,
a free
and
trial.
we have some great questions too, so we can hop right into those. Brian,
Excellent.
can you tell us what is the lead time on your camera availability?
It depends. The problem right now is, and this is an industry-wide issue, is the supply channel. Some of the things we're implementing to help minimize that impact is we try to keep some local storage. And we're trying to also do better at forecasting to have that storage replaced as it gets sold out. So it's hard to say exactly what the lead time is because it really depends on which camera you may need. We have Pixel Pro, we have Pixel Pro GXI, and we have GenStar. We have certain models that tend to be better sellers or basically have a higher purchase amount, if you will, than others. So we try to keep a certain level of stock with those, and then ones that maybe aren't bought as often, we tend to have very limited stock, and then those may have a bit of a longer lead time. In terms of our servers are actually come out of manufacturing here in the US. They're assembled in the US. So we have, in general, non-RAID servers are about a 5 to 7 business day lead time. RAID-based servers may be anywhere from a 7 to 14 business day lead time, only because RAID servers usually get more testing to qualify that they're stable because of the RAID configuration requirements.
Great,
okay,
thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you did answer, somebody did ask where your camera's manufactured, and are they your own or are they OEM?
OEM.
Yes.
So our cameras are the Pixel Pro and the Pixel Pro GXI are made in South Korea, and the GenStar ones are from China. So the Pixel Pro and the GXI are NDAA compliant. The GenStar, unfortunately, are not compliant. They're still good for deployments where NDAA is not a requirement, but for areas where you do need NDAA requirement, then you look at our Pixel Pro or our Pixel Pro GXI line.
Great, thank you. So somebody did ask, what are the terms of the use for this application? As System Surveyor is just a subscription. You can use it web-based. We've been showing you on the web here, but you can also use it on an iPad, say if you're walking a site. We have monthly and annual subscriptions, and if you sign up with Ganz as a partner of Ganz here for the free account, you do get 10% off your first year. And with that, I'll hop back over to some other questions. Oh, you already answered the question on the servers. Where can they find all your specs?
So all our specs can be found on our website at gansecurity.com. Basically, you can go to support. Actually, the easiest thing to do is just go to products and select the server that you're interested in. And on the right-hand side, there is a resource panel with the specs for the server that's in there. I do recommend, because server technology changes every 6 months, if you don't see what you're looking for, by all means, reach out to us and ask. There's a good chance that we can offer a custom design to the server, depending on what's required, as opposed to just what we initially offer up front.
Great. I did get the question, how do I contact Ganz? I'm not already affiliated with them. Brian, would it be okay in my email and my follow-up email to provide your contact information?
Yeah, my information's fine. So I'm on being the technical side. I can always answer any technical questions. That's not a problem. Anything that's going to be a course-related question, I can get you in contact with the salesperson who would handle that for your area.
Great. Okay. And Jamel, can I, if I was to create a floor plan in System Surveyor, would I be able to share my layout with my customer?
Yes, absolutely. There's a couple ways that you can do that, and I'm going to hop back into System Surveyor. So we'll save this. So one of the ways that you could do that is inviting them as a guest, which if we were to go back out to this dashboard here, we can go to contacts and we can go new. You'd fill out, of course, their first name, last name, and email address. Then down at the bottom, you can invite them as a guest and make it read only. So that way they can sign in while you're signed in, look at things together, have a little bit of collaboration there. You also have that ability to, and this is a different survey, but under the reports, you can, of course, send out this report as, you can send out the layout as a PDF and give them a quick little summary, as well as the elements and containers that you have on that layout.
Hey, Jamal, can I add a quick comment on this?
Absolutely.
So that share function to me is fantastic, and I'll explain why. Like I said, when we were looking at the design prospects, there's always a possibility that different cameras are going to meet for or be considered for one point. And that point, like the reception area, maybe want a 5 megapixel or maybe want a 4K. This share functionality of System Surveyor allows me to turn around and create a basic design, but then share that with the customer. So that the customer can give me their input. Maybe, like we'll use the bullet for the example. The bullet aesthetically would contrast with the reception area. So what other options do I have? And since we're in that shared environment in System Surveyor, it makes the communications so much more efficient and a lot faster than emailing back and forth or trying to play phone tag.
Absolutely.
So,
Right. And the ability to create a bill of materials, it's
Yes.
extremely beneficial for everyone involved as well. So you
yes.
And then you have, of course, the bill of materials here, a photo tour, which might be important if you have a ton of photos that you've taken while you're doing those walkthroughs. Then you have the floor plan with legend. We believe in that. You cannot, can't claim to be a collaborative platform if you don't have that ability to share. So they want to provide as many options.
Right. Jamel, one last question. Does System Surveyor work offline for like site walks?
Yes, it does. So with our tablet app that we have, so if you're on your iPad, we just recommend that you make sure you have your floor plan in before you head out to that survey. That way it's already in, you have that survey sort of started. Then when you're on site, just pull it right up into System Surveyor. You don't need to be connected, and you can begin taking those photos, attaching to the survey, attaching those elements that you think you might need. And then once you're reconnected, you'll be able to send it straight to the web. So that way you can continue working on it, share it with anyone else. They can see the updates you've made.
Great. And another question, and is System Surveyor available to Android users? And I can take that one. We do have some specifications. We are available on iPads. We are somewhat available on Android with limited capabilities. And so, but we are rolling out Android, I believe, in the next quarter. So we should have that availability very soon. So with that, if there's any other questions, send them our way. Otherwise, we really appreciate your time. Again, look for the recording from me with contact information and anything else you should need. And we look forward to having you as our team. Jamel, Brian, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And thank you for our attendance.
Yeah, thanks
thank
everybody.
You everybody for showing up.
Bye-bye.